10 years. That's how long it's been since I walked the halls of Monroe High, dodging hall monitors and flirting with Lauren Mitchell behind the bleachers. Back then, I had a full head of hair, a beat-up Chevy, and the kind of ego only a teenage quarterback could carry without throwing his spine out. Now, I've got 2 kids, a CPA license, a mortgage the size of Utah, and a wife who'd rather rewatch Grey's Anatomy for the 12th time than come to a reunion full of my old flames. Go without me, Julia said, waving me off like I was headed to Home Depot instead of a time capsule soaked in Axe body spray and regret. Someone has to watch the kids. Translation. You're on your own, champ. Don't do anything stupid. Well, about that? I rolled into my hometown right around sunset, windows down, blasting the same playlist I made in 2009. It felt poetic until I realized most of the songs were now in commercials for allergy medication or midlife crisis convertibles. Monroe hadn't changed. Same Dairy Queen, same crooked streetlight on 7th, same high school now awkwardly decorated to look like a prom scene from a movie no one watched. They'd gone full 90s theme, neon banners, lava lamps at the entrance, and a photo booth labeled Rad Memories. I half expected Zach Morris to hand me a wine cooler. Inside, I got hit by a tidal wave of déjà vu, Aqua's Barbie Girl echoing from the gymnasium speakers, while some poor soul tried to dance to it with a knee brace. And then, boom. Lauren. She looked like someone had found a yearbook photo of her and turned the saturation all the way up. Tighter dress, longer hair, the same smirk that once got me detention, and a broken nose from her jealous ex. She locked eyes with me and strutted over like she owned the place, which, technically, she might. Her husband teaches here now. Ethan Walker, she said, like tasting my name. You got old. Thanks. You stayed dangerously hot. That should be illegal in 5 states. We laughed. We hugged. Her perfume hit me like a memory I didn't ask for but couldn't refuse. It was like high school had cracked open and said, "Hey, remember that one night in senior year when you nearly proposed to this girl with a ring pop?" I asked where Brian was. "Somewhere being wholesome," she said, waving vaguely at a man in khakis and a polo shirt who looked like he got lost on his way to fix a printer. "He's still sweet," she added, as if apologizing for it. The evening blurred in that way only high school reunions and cheap Chardonnay can, faces from gym class, stories that got better with time, and Lauren always, somehow, next to me. She laughed at all my jokes, touched my arm just long enough to notice, and danced a little too close during Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer. Brian watched us, his hands in his pockets, not saying a word. The kind of silence that either meant complete trust or total surrender. Then came the cigarette break. Or rather the let's go catch up where it's quieter move, which, let's be honest, is reunion code for let's go somewhere we won't be recorded, allegedly. She led me down the side hallway, past the old vending machines that still offered Diet Pepsi and disappointment, toward the gym locker room. The place smelled exactly the same, like floor polish and secrets. We sat on one of the wooden benches in the boys' locker room, which felt as surreal as it sounds. I hadn't been there since my last game. Now I was 37, discussing life insurance policies and fantasizing about my high school ex like some knockoff Nicholas Sparks character. We talked, or pretended to. Most of it was nonsense about careers and kids. Then she kissed me. Fast, hungry, like she'd been thinking about it for years and finally said, "Screw it, let's light this grenade." The rest? Let's just say the bench, in front of locker 147, is no longer structurally sound, and I might owe the school district a formal apology. It wasn't romantic, it wasn't even smart, but it was real, dangerously real, and it ended too quickly. As we were pulling ourselves together, I heard it, a click, a mechanical one. Vending machine? Maybe. Camera? That too. I laughed it off. "Don't worry, The ghost of Coach Henderson probably just high-fived us. She didn't laugh, just looked at me, wide-eyed, and said, "We should go." We did. We walked back like nothing happened, but something had. And I knew, deep down, that whatever switch we flipped in that locker room, it wasn't going back off. The rest of the night played out like nothing had happened. But the air had changed. I tried to shake it, took one last look at Lauren, who smiled like Mona Lisa with a secret. Brian stood next to her, sipping punch like it was communion wine. And me? I walked to my car, told myself I'd never speak of it again, and felt the first sharp throb in my back just as I unlocked the door. Then, black. Pain doesn't knock. It kicks the door open, tosses your memories into a blender, and flips the switch. I woke up to that kind of pain. Full body, soul-shaking pain, like I'd been folded in half by a semi-truck and then reassembled by someone who failed anatomy in middle school. The lights were soft, the walls pale green, and a machine next to my bed beeped like it was trying to communicate in Morse code. My mouth was dry, my throat raw, and my entire right leg was encased in something that felt like a cast designed by NASA. I turned my head, slowly like it might fall off, and saw a nurse charting something near the door. She noticed me and walked over, clipboard in hand, expression blank but not unkind. "Mr. Walker," she said, not bothering with pleasantries. "Welcome back. You've been out for almost 2 days." 2 days. Apparently someone found me face down next to my car in the parking lot of Monroe High, unconscious, bleeding, with a wallet that still had my credit cards but no dignity left inside. I had a fractured arm, 3 broken ribs, a bruised kidney, a concussion, and a shattered kneecap that now had more metal in it than my golf clubs. "What the hell happened?" I croaked. She gave me the shrug of someone who's seen worse. "No one saw anything, but the police are looking into it." Police? That's when things clicked into focus. The reunion, the locker room, Lauren, her mouth, her perfume, her legs wrapped around me like a bad idea you say yes to anyway. And then, the parking lot. My keys in hand, a shadow, a blow to the back, quick and heavy, like a brick wrapped in silence. Before I could ask more, he walked in. Trench coat, buzz cut, eyes like cold marbles polished smooth. "Detective Harold Price," he said, flashing a badge like it doubled as a personality. "Mind if I ask you a few questions?" I was barely breathing through my nose, but sure, let's talk. He pulled up a chair, clicked on a recorder, and opened a notebook. No small talk, just a direct hit. "Can you walk me through your night?" I gave him the sanitized version at first. Catch-up chats, old friends, a few drinks, some awkward dancing. He didn't even blink. Then he said, "Mr. Walker, I'm going to stop you right there. I'm not here for party details. I'm here because you were attacked outside a public school and someone tried to erase your memory with a baseball bat. I need the truth." So I gave it to him, or most of it. I told him about Lauren, about the locker room. I left out the steamier details, but his raised eyebrows told me he already knew. Hell, he probably watched the footage himself during lunch. "You're not the only one who's talked," he said flatly. "There's footage. Audio, too." My stomach flipped. "From where?" He pulled a photo from his folder. An old vending machine with a dusty security camera duct-taped above it. Wasn't supposed to be working, but it was. Audio only and crackly, but clear enough to catch enthusiastic vocals. My blood turned into ice water. He leaned back and added, like it was an afterthought, "Someone uploaded a clip. It's floating around on Facebook. Might hit Reddit soon." My mouth went dry. "Julia, your wife?" he said, glancing at his notes. "Yeah, she was contacted. She came here when you were brought in." I exhaled. Relief. She left 15 minutes later. Not relief. He stood up and looked at me like a man trying to decide if he should pity me or just let me burn. "If you remember anything else, especially about who might have had a reason to leave you looking like a Picasso painting. Call me." And just like that, he was gone. Later, the nurse returned to check my vitals. This time, her eyes lingered too long, like she'd already picked a side in a story she wasn't supposed to know. I asked for my phone. She hesitated. "Your family took it, along with your clothes." Another hit to the gut. I lay there for hours, staring at the ceiling tiles like they held answers. My brain felt like a busted hard drive, corrupted files trying to reboot. I replayed everything. The way Lauren bit her lip after kissing. Me. The weird silence in Brian's eyes. The way the vending machine had glowed faintly in the dark like it was watching. Then the nurse came back with something that wasn't on any chart. A newspaper clipping folded in half. Someone had slid it under the door. She looked annoyed but handed it over. I unfolded it and saw the headline, "Scandal at High School Reunion." Married father hospitalized after locker room rekindling goes viral. There was no photo, thank God, but the article mentioned multiple audio clips confirmed by attendees and hinted that one participant was the wife of a local teacher. Brian Mitchell's name wasn't printed, yet. I asked the nurse who left it. She shrugged. Could have been a reporter or a family member. Fat chance. Later that night, I buzzed for help. I asked her just to confirm, "Has anyone come by today? My wife? Parents?" She shook her head. "Your family was here when you were admitted. Haven't seen them since. Not even April. Not even my sister, who once bailed me out of jail for urinating on a statue because I thought it looked smug. The weight of it hit me all at once. Julia knew. Everyone knew. And now I wasn't just the guy who slept with his high school ex. I was the guy who got beat up by karma in real time. I wanted to scream. To call Lauren. To rewind the night and hit decline on her smile. Instead, I stared at my leg, a Frankenstein of pins and bandages, and waited for the next shoe to drop, because deep down, I knew this wasn't over. It was just getting started. Rehab centers aren't hospitals. They're holding tanks with better lighting. I got transferred after 5 days of narcotics, silence, and chicken broth. The new place smelled like hand sanitizer and wilted hope, with inspirational posters on the walls like, "You got this," above a photo of a guy climbing a mountain, as if a shredded knee and public scandal were something you could outhike. They wheeled me into a room with beige curtains and a TV bolted to the ceiling, playing a rerun of Judge Judy at full volume. I asked the nurse when visiting hours were. She gave me a tight smile. "You'll be the first to know." The first 2 days were quiet, too quiet. No messages, no balloons, no awkward flowers from coworkers pretending they cared. It was like I'd been wiped off everyone's contact list. Maybe I had. Then came April. My sister strolled in with a giant iced coffee, a Target tote, and the exact look you'd expect from someone who got elected to show up because the family drew straws and she lost. "Well," she said, plopping into the chair beside my bed, "you've really outdone yourself this time." "Good to see you, too." She handed me a granola bar like it was a peace offering, or perhaps just pity. Then she launched in, no warning. "So," Julia saw the video, not just the audio clip, the phone footage, multiple angles. Someone recorded Lauren screaming your name like she was auditioning for a soap opera, and then stitched it with a clip of you stumbling out of the locker room, adjusting your belt like a damn cliché. I winced, not from the injury. She saw it with Mom, and Dad, and me. I turned toward the wall. "She didn't cry," April added, almost impressed. "She just watched, dead quiet, and then stood up, said, 'Okay,' and left." I swallowed, throat dry. "When was that?" 2 days ago. Divorce papers are already filed. It hit harder than the parking lot ambush. She said you embarrassed her in front of the entire town. Her co-workers saw it. Our cousins saw it. Even Aunt Lorraine. And you know she thinks Facebook is a government conspiracy." I managed a dry laugh. Barely. She's not coming back, Ethan, and you can forget seeing the kids anytime soon. April said it like a fact. Not an insult, just cold delivery of a truth I didn't want but needed. She said you nuked your marriage for locker room sex and a prom playlist. And honestly, she's not wrong. She didn't stay long, maybe 30 minutes. Dropped off some sweatpants and my old iPad, then left with a perfunctory, good luck not screwing up again. No hugs, no closure. That night, I stared at the cracked ceiling tiles and tried to remember when I last had a real conversation with Julia. One that wasn't about schedules, groceries, or whether the thermostat should be set to 70 or 72. I couldn't recall. Maybe I'd been losing her long before Lauren ever showed up. Maybe this was just the grand finale to a slow fade I hadn't wanted to see. 3 days later, they discharged me. Not because I was ready, because insurance said so. I was wheeled outside into a cool breeze that felt like permission to feel alive again. The parking lot was full. For a second, I thought, maybe, just maybe, someone came to get me. I saw my parents' car. Relief bloomed in my chest like the first hit of oxygen after a blackout. Then I saw Julia. She stood next to my mother, who was wearing sunglasses even though it was cloudy. My father stood stiff, arms crossed, expression unreadable. They weren't smiling. The nurse pushed my wheelchair to the curb. I gave a weak wave. Julia didn't move. I rolled toward her, reaching out slightly, my mouth half open to say her name. Then she stepped forward and slapped me. Not a playful smack. A clean, echoing crack that turned the heads of 2 nurses and a man eating a bagel. "You humiliated me in front of everyone," she said. "We're done." She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just delivered the line like a death sentence, then turned and walked away. My parents followed. My mother didn't look back. My father did once, just long enough to shake his head. Whether in shame or disbelief, I'll never know, then the cherry on top. A tall man in a blue blazer stepped forward holding a manila envelope. Slick haircut, no smile. "Mr. Walker," he said, "my name is Darren. I'm representing Julia Walker going forward. This is a notice of no contact. Please don't attempt to visit the home, school, or reach out to the children until further notice. Any violation will be considered harassment." He handed me the envelope like he was giving out flyers for a jazz concert. "I suggest you read it thoroughly." Then he turned, joined Julia, and the entire caravan drove off like the ending of a courtroom drama, minus the redemption arc. I sat there in a wheelchair, holding legal papers and a half-eaten granola bar, wondering how the hell a 10-minute mistake could detonate a 20-year life with such precision. They say when you hit rock bottom, the only way is up, but no one tells you how deep the pit goes first. Rehab ended the same way most things do in my life now, with a clipboard, a signature, and a door that closed a little too slowly behind me. No good luck, no parting advice. Just the quiet hum of fluorescent lights and the knowledge that the only thing waiting for me on the outside was nothing. I took the bus back to Seattle, sat next to a guy eating Fun Yuns at 9 a.m. and a woman arguing with her AirPods. Nobody recognized me. Or if they did, they were polite enough to pretend. The apartment was still mine, technically. Julia hadn't changed the locks yet, but it didn't feel like home, more like a museum of mistakes. Framed family photos staring down at me like disappointed jurors, little shoes by the door that didn't fit anyone I'd see again anytime soon, and the faint smell of her shampoo on the bathroom towels like a ghost who refused to leave. I poured myself a glass of orange juice and stood in the kitchen until it got dark. No one called. No one texted. I tried Lauren's number, straight to voicemail. Tried again. Same. I knew what that meant. She was out. Probably doing damage control on her own marriage, deleting social media, pretending it had all been some fever dream in fishnets, and nostalgia. I wasn't mad, just hollow. Then, on a Wednesday morning, 3 days into my re-entry into normal life, it arrived. A letter. No return address. Inside, a single piece of paper. No message, no name. Just a YouTube link scribbled in black Sharpie. At first, I thought it was a prank. Then I typed it in. The video was 38 seconds long. Security footage, grainy, black and white, from that damn vending machine. I recognized the hallway instantly. The faded Monroe High trophy case, the flickering exit sign, and there I was. Stumbling out of the locker room, shirt untucked, hair wild, belt still in my hand like an idiot on Walk of Shame autopilot. Then came the real twist. Behind me, 20 feet back, walked Brian Mitchell. He wasn't angry. He wasn't charging. He looked calm, like he was walking his dog. No rush, no yelling, and then, frame by frame, I watched him approach me. He placed a hand on my shoulder, and I went down. Not punched, not tackled, just down. Like a marionette with its strings cut. It didn't look like a fight. It didn't even look like revenge. It looked like karma had pressed a pressure point. The clip ended with a freeze frame of Brian standing over me, hands in his pockets. Under the video, someone had added a title. He walked out on his own. Karma did the rest. I stared at the screen, frozen. Was that really what happened? Did I just collapse? Was it Brian? Someone else? Was I drunker than I thought? Had someone spiked the punch? The doubt crept in like fog under a door. Thick, quiet, impossible to ignore. My memory of that night wasn't perfect. A swirl of music, adrenaline, guilt, and Lauren's perfume. But I was sure I'd been hit. Positive. Yet the video didn't lie, or did it? That's the thing about stories. They shift depending on where the camera's pointing. I sat there for hours watching it on loop, trying to decode a truth I might never fully get back. Then I did something pathetic. I left a comment. This isn't the whole story. Nobody responded. That night I walked through my neighborhood. The houses all looked normal. Lit windows, laughter behind closed doors, kids riding scooters, life, the one I'd had, the one I'd tossed into a dumpster behind a high school gym. I stopped by the corner store and the clerk looked at me too long. He smiled. Hey, weren't you the guy? I left before he could finish. That became my life. Not the scandal, not the divorce, the knowing, the recognition, the whispers, the looks in coffee shops, the guy in line who opens TikTok and glances at you just a second too long. I was that guy. From the video, from the scandal, from the punch that wasn't a punch. Lauren never called back. I heard through the grapevine she filed for divorce, moved to Portland, opened a yoga studio, rebranded herself as someone who glows, not someone who blows up marriages at themed reunions. Brian? No one really knows. Quiet guy always was. The kind who disappears after the credits roll. Maybe he's still teaching. Maybe he's in therapy. Maybe he's somewhere watching that video and wondering if he really did it. Or if he just happened to be standing there when I crashed into the pavement. Julia? She got full custody. I get pictures through the lawyer. No visits yet. Maybe someday, but not now. I respect that. I took a new job. Same field, different office. Nobody there knows. Yet. But one day they will. They always do. It's only a matter of time. And me? I keep walking. I don't drink. I don't party. I don't flirt. I don't even look people in the eye for too long anymore. I take the long way home. I avoid Facebook. I don't go to reunions. Sometimes I watch the video again, just to remind myself. Not of what happened, but of what could have been. They say karma's a bitch, but no one tells you she comes dressed like your high school crush, with perfect teeth, fire red lipstick, and a plan to rearrange your life one zipper at a time.